So I'm here with Leon from Engagis, the CEO, and you've been a client of ours now with our engagement model for how long?
It must be 9 months, 10 months, Justin.
Okay.
After observing you for many years.
So, two questions. The first one, quick, because we'll dig into it in a second, and then I want to know the backstory. But what is there good news?
Oh, I think that's good news. It's a journey, but definitely the good news is that in elements of the business we're getting far greater measurability than we've had before in the sales process. And certainly I'm a big fan of, rather than having an individual such as myself in my early years as a sole salesperson, to have a team. And the establishment of the central support function is a big benefit.
Is it impacting on sales?
Yeah, it is. We're seeing a sales uplift. We're seeing a sales uplift.
So we'll come back to that. Yeah. But let's talk about the backstory. You've, as you mentioned a second ago, you've been around listening involved for years.
Yeah, I would wonder how many years it would be. But it's the sales process.
It's more than 10, isn't it?
It probably is. Yeah, I'm from a background. I've been interested in process re-engineering, but specifically with a bent on sales for quite a while. I think there's a better way to do things, and definitely your model has got theoretical potential to do that. And in recent periods, as I said, we're seeing the results come through. We're seeing an activity uplift, which we're shooting for, and we're seeing the results.
So when I met you, you were an investor,
or That's correct.
Yeah, you'd sold out of a previous.
I hope I'll always be an investor.
Yeah, you'd exited a previous business.
Correct.
And I remember we had a discussion that was kind of a theoretical discussion, like it would be cool to do something one day. But that was maybe 10 years ago.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, and then what was it that triggered you to say, well, yeah, I'm going to engage these ballistics people to work with us?
I think in hindsight, I would engage ballistics even for a mature business. But we are in a growth industry in digital communications, which is I believe even more important to involve a team that can deliver greater output than having an individual process. And we had trialled for many years individual salespeople to limited success. So that's probably what triggered it, Justin. We tried traditional ways for a period of time, and we wanted to do something different.
So I came and I ran a workshop with you and the team. I think there was a good level of excitement from your side of the room, different levels of excitement from different quarters in the room. But the interesting point is the general concept, probably because you'd been exposed to it for 10 plus years, you were excited by. But the implementation of it has been it's been a winding road.
Well, it has, and that workshop, that was 15 months ago. So we had a period from when you did the workshop we again returned to, despite my excitement, we returned to our traditional model to see whether we could get success from that. And after circa 6 months, we declared that we still were not getting success, so we had to try something different, which was to work with ballistics. And even today, there would be some people on the team that are still not sold. So there were a far greater number that weren't convinced back when the workshop was held. I was convinced, yet to prove the theories. I believe now we do have the proof, but it's fair to say that some people are still to be convinced, and it will take time. It's a journey.
And I guess it's fair to say that the winding road was a consequence of trying to execute something close to the model, but not actually the model.
I think that's true. And it's true for most observers, such as myself, for 10 odd years. I can know the theory, but unless I've got a catalyst for change, which is what you now offer in your new model, it will be a slow journey, or it won't occur at all.
So to talk in specifics about what we have now and what we've actually done, do you want to describe the sales function as it is currently?
Yeah, sure. The model is, as you promote, is in the past we had one person responsible for identifying opportunities and creating opportunities with all the various methods available, That person would schedule meetings, then go and have those meetings, extract the requirements, go away and prepare a proposal, and then go back and try to renegotiate and eventually win an order. Now, that was all done by one person. Our model now is we have 2 tiers of solutions. Level 1, a standard solution involves 4 people at least. So the one person would be involved in generating campaigns and delivering opportunities. Opportunities having been identified would be handed over to a coordinator. A sales coordinator would schedule those meetings for our salespeople in the field. Our third person, the salespeople in the field, would conduct those meetings, bring back the requirements to the office or communicate them to the office, where our central quoting solutions engineer, the fourth person, would come up with a solution and a proposal. So one person going to 4 people has been the major change on our level 1 or our standard offerings. Level 2.
Probably a smaller sales team?
It is a smaller sales team. And
so fewer salespeople, slightly more people in total?
Yeah, I would say, we call it the sales team. We would actually say it's a larger sales team because, yes, the total people is a higher, is greater number, but a fewer number of salespeople, correct?
What about the net volume of appointments?
The net volume of appointments has definitely increased. The net volume of measurable appointments, and that's the key element. We have, like most organisation and most businesses I've run, always had a challenge to reach agreement with the salespeople of how many appointments have actually occurred.
So to talk in specific terms, your 2 salespeople were actually they were a little bit apprehensive about having executive assistants, sales coordinators, but that's working well, and they now each have an assistant who plans their calendar for them. That's
correct. They were apprehensive. I was apprehensive. I now have an assistant as well. Each of us like to control our world.
So that's the interesting part. You're obviously selling the level 2 transactions, which are the big engineer to order. And before there were a number of people playing in that space, but what we've said is you're the best at it. It's going to be quite some time before we need other people in that space. So let's get you an executive assistant.
I think you're generous with your praise.
Well, the numbers.
Yeah, the numbers
are on my side.
The numbers look favourable, but that's largely because I've always had the fifth person, which is the project leader who will eventually deliver the solution, involved pre-sale, so pre-order rather. So they've always been there to support me, and it's not been one person; it's been multiple people, and they make my numbers look good. But really, we've had a team approach in that level too. But back to your question, how have I adjusted to that? It's again pretty new for me to have a coordinator to help me, an executive assistant to assist me. But it is very promising, and already the basics that we all talk about and theoretically talk about are starting to come true. And that is, by the time you close up shop and have a beer on a Friday afternoon, you've got your next week already scheduled out in front of you. You don't come into work on a Monday and go, I need to rush around and find some appointments. Because we all know if we're not out there, well, what is the saying? If you want a cup of tea, you need to boil the kettle. And that's really what our world's about, is having those meaningful conversations to explore the needs of our customers and come up with some solutions.
So I guess one thing that organizations who are thinking of engaging with us, one question that maybe they have in their heads is that obviously those organizations that work with ballistics, it's an ongoing commitment. We become part of the team. And it's probably not obvious to an organization going in what the implications are of our team merging with your team. And it's very difficult for us to put it in writing. Here's what happens. Can you shed some light on what it means?
Well, again, this is impromptu discussion and questions. I'm quite cynical of consultants. I think it's quite easy to give theory and put together a plan and maybe do some element of it and then walk away in 3 months or 4 months. But when you changed your model of ballistics to being an ongoing part of our team, that opened my eyes up to what I'm far more interested in. We treat your people as the same as we treat our employees. We treat them as if they're one of the Engagis team members. And when they're working with us, they behave that way. And they're not just implementing a change process, but they're actually looking to the ongoing flow and ensuring the utilisation of our sales force and the meetings are there, ensuring that opportunities continue to be created and flow. So I'm a big fan of that. I feel like you're not a consultant flying in and flying out, a seagull. You're actually a member of our team. Your people are a member of our team, and that's adding continuing value.
Terrific.
It's quite a different model.
Terrific. What do you think the future holds? What can we do if we continue on the trajectory we're on currently?
Well, I'm excited to see how it goes. I can't really tell you the future. That's tomorrow. But the trends look good. The trends, I would have dreamed of establishing a scalable, repeatable model that we could take a team and just replicate it. I would expect that to occur, and I'm really keen to check in with you in a year or so and see that has added. We're in a growth space, so the trend is your friend. We're definitely swimming with the tide, both in terms of the products and services we offer and the value we add, but also with the process of SPE with ballistics.
The one interesting point, I think, is we've had the flexibility to assist you in areas other than strictly sales. Can you comment on that?
Sure. Oh, you're a raving fan of TOC, theory of constraints, and what happens in any business. We used to talk about it as the pendulum. The constraint moves. So one Monday morning you would come into work and you would have celebrated on Friday night the completion of the project, and suddenly you realise you've got no work ahead of you. So you rush around like mad to win some sales. And then as soon as you win some sales over the coming weeks or months, you suddenly find that you've got too much sales and you haven't got enough people to deliver. So the constraint moves. So it's been great of you and your team to look beyond the order, the end of the sales process, to the delivery and production, and see where else the constraints are that you could apply the same principles. And the principles are, I think they're pretty fundamental principles of understanding the process, divisionalisation of labour, having right people in the right job, scheduling, essentially controlling the scheduling of the resources. So many of the same principles of SPE are being considered and starting to be embraced in other parts of the business, and you've done that, which has been great.
Terrific. I don't want to blow our own horn, but that's one thing I notice, and it's hard to promote it because it's difficult for me to say, well, hey, we can do a bunch of stuff outside sales. But my observation is with our clients, and you're a good example, is that on many occasions it's a critical point of difference between having someone work with you who's a marketing expert or a sales expert. Is that sometimes the best thing that we can do to improve sales is to leave sales alone.
Can you expand on that?
Well, if for example, salespeople are busy out there generating RFQs, and we have a bottleneck in engineering, and we can't generate proposals, to doggedly continue to generate RFQs and to simply remind you that as CEO you better get that problem fixed is not adding any value whatsoever. In fact, it's destroying value. And I think the fact that we have the ability to say, well, let's fix a process that isn't strictly a sales process enables us to get far better traction than we would if we just stuck to sales.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I mentioned earlier that some people are not yet raving fans, and I think they would say that. They would say that that it has taken us too long to fix some of the bottlenecks that are actually outside your scope. But it's probably blood on my hands. But that's to be offered the assistance from ballistics to clean up those other constraints in the business is appreciated. It's definitely true, and I think many consultants do have, as I said, why I'm cynical of it, they do have a very narrow cycle time. I'll come in and do a 3-4 month project and then I'll leave. And often change cannot be affected that quickly.
And we were guilty of that in the past.
And I think they've also got a narrow scope in terms of the function. I'll only fix this one part of the business. And yes, they might be able to generate, which is lovely to experience, just hundreds of leads. But if they can't go beyond that, then, or even hundreds of orders, but if they can't go beyond that because of production constraints, that's a shame. Whereas I do feel that you've got a genuine interest in the broader success of the business, which is obviously my mandate.
Great. Well, it's great to work with you, Leon. I hope we can do some more good stuff.
Thanks, Justin. It's been
Thank
good.
you.